Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and I can't speak, even though I am speaking. This is incredible. Get your comments in on this. Manchester United last season assembled the most expensive squad in football history. Unbelievable. Not this season. We're talking last season when Man United finished third. This is courtesy of the European Club Finance and Investment Landscape Report. And it says that Manchester United, at the end of their 2023 financial year, their squad cost a combined £1.21 billion, the most expensive football squad ever assembled. Now, this doesn't include the signings of Rasmus or Onana or Mount, because this was for up until 2023 June, so it won't include most of Chelsea's billion squads. They probably got away with it. But you've got to pose the question here as we get into the detail. At what point do you start standing up and saying money on its own doesn't make you successful? I mean, look, Man City will be saying, hold my beer. Of course they will, with the 115. But the point is, that's not been proven yet. And the point is, money means nothing if you don't spend it well. There's a famous story in the UK about a national lottery winner who won about 10 million quid and is now living in poverty again because he blew it up the wall and some say up his nose. But the point is, you know, people with money don't necessarily be successful. Chelsea fans would say the same. But that's extraordinary. And look, it's very, very fortunate, I think, that these stories can be looked back on as a Man United fan like myself and go, well, hopefully that's not going to happen with Sir Jim and Ineos. But wow, it is almost needs to be written down in the annals of football, doesn't it? That this is an experiment in how not to spend money, because there is absolutely there is no correlation between United's side last year being the most expensive squad in football history and being the best. And I think that's the experiment, isn't it? Most expensive squad assembled in football history. Where do they come in relation to what in Europe last year? We weren't even in the Champions League and we finished third in the Premier League. So I would say that United were not probably even in the top 10 teams in Europe last year. In Europe. And yet it was the most expensive squad. And also, some might say, well, yeah, but you can't judge it straight away because they were buying players. This year, we're not even in the top 5 in England. And we're out of Europe before Christmas. So it's a huge L for Manchester United, but it's a huge lesson for everybody else. So get in the comments. What are your thoughts on this? As I give you more detail on it, what are your thoughts on money and success? There is a happy medium, but we've seen it with Chelsea, we've seen it with other clubs, and we've certainly seen it with Manchester United, that you can chuck lots and lots of money, and it's not like that money's not accountable. Where does that money come from? Sponsorship deals who want the eyes of your fans. Fans who are buying shirts and merchandise and all other ways. I mean, it's basically fans that feed clubs anyway in every bit of money that they do. And it's just being chucked away by prats who haven't got a clue about the game. It's incredible. But look, get your thoughts in on that. But this is the detail of it. So Manchester United's squad last year was the most expensive ever assembled. And this is a courtesy of the UEFA report from the European Club Finance and Investment Landscape. And basically, in 2020, Real Madrid did have the record of 1.13 billion, but Man United's is 1.21 billion in combined transfer fees. And that would include 82 million for Anthony, 80 million pounds for Harry Maguire, 73 million for Jadon Sancho, 70 for Casemiro. The list goes on. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka would be part of that squad at 50 million quid. I'm trying to think of last season. Varane would be 40. Martial was still there, of course. I mean, and that includes, Marcus Rashford was homegrown as well. Obviously, that goes up to June 23, so it doesn't include the signings from last summer. The report says that 3 other squads, Man City, Chelsea and Real Madrid cost more than £1 billion in transfer fees. Chelsea's figures go up to June 2022, meaning the 850 they spent from the summer of that year to August is not actually counted in this report. But it's amazing, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing, because when you look at those 4 clubs and their squads of over £1 billion in transfer fees, Man United and Chelsea are complete failures. Man City and Real Madrid are success. So you've got a 50-50 hit rate there, haven't you? You've got 4 clubs that have got a squad worth over £1 billion. 2 of them are shit, 2 of them are good. So if I'm a chairman, I'm looking at this and I'm going, yeah, I'm going down the Brighton route. I'm not going down this route. This is stupid. And I can't speak for Chelsea. I can't speak for Man City. I can't speak for Real Madrid, but I can speak for Manchester United. And if we've got the most expensive squad, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying these words. Man United had broken the record for the most expensive squad ever assembled with last season's squad. I find that is like that. You know, that needs to go down in history. This needs clipping up and putting into history. Manchester United's squad from last season is the most expensive squad ever assembled in football. It defies logic. It really does. But of course, from a Manchester United point of view, overpay. Maguire's not an £80 million player. Sancho wasn't a £75 million player. Anthony's not an £80 million player. You know, we shouldn't have spent 70 on Casemiro either. Overspent. Wan-Bissaka wasn't a £50 million player. Overspend. And that's what Manchester United do. It's ridiculous. And I think that, you know, Man City may well have these charges hanging over them and all the rumours and all, you know, all the accusations they get. But where I'd give them respect is that for a long time, probably up until Jack Grealish, Man City never really got rinsed. They'd never really spend more. I mean, how many players did Man City buy for under 60 million? They very rarely went above that until they got Grealish. And that, if they've got a squad that's worth over £1 billion, that means that, all right, take away the Grealish, but they're buying more with that money as well. You know, United are spending 80, 70 million pounds on players where Man City were spending 50, 60. You're going to get more for your bang over that billion. And also their recruitment is just better. And the wages obviously feeds into that as well. So, look, my thought is, and I will read your comments with interest, is that can money buy you success? Well, financial fair play, as we know, is going to have teeth. But I'm looking at Newcastle here and I'm thinking, well, if I was an owner of a football club and I had 1.2 billion, which is what Man United have spent, 1.2 billion, and I can't move away from that. I mean, this is the thing that's bothering me. United have spent 1.2 billion on the squad they had last year. The most expensive squad ever assembled. And I look at it and go, we need a striker, we need 2 centre-backs, we need 2 midfielders, we need a right-back. How do you spend 1.2 billion? Chelsea need a striker, and yet they've spent over £1 billion. If I'm the chairman or the CEO and I've got 1.2 billion to spend and I'm starting now at Newcastle or United, I'm like, that is going up on my wall. That statement, Manchester United assembled the most expensive squad in footballing history last season, and I'd have a picture of the squad and that would be on my office wall where in massive resolution and size, caught in 4K on a big wall as a warning sign every day I walk into my office, because that's the lesson to every football club. And every football club should do it. Everton, Bournemouth, they should all have that 4K, that squad in 4K with that statement, because that's a lesson in how not to run a football club. Because I would look at that squad and I would look at that statement and I would go, right, money's great, but every million needs to be accountable. Because if you can spend 1.2 billion and end up where United are now, it's a bloody joke. The recruitment isn't just bad, it's corrupt. It's terrible. You know, I don't think they've done it on purpose, but it's, you know, it's criminal, certainly, to spend that amount of money. And I think you look at what Brighton do, and I think that this is a lesson. I think that money is fantastic, but it's got to be in the right hands. You know, you can't have an owner like Todd Boehly coming in and playing the world's richest game of Football Manager. And you can't have what Man United have got, where it's just total incompetence wandering around Europe throwing money at anything. You need, if you've got the money, then you've got the money to buy best in class. And you need the best director of football, the best recruitment team, the best CEO, and you need to be making the best decisions. And I just don't think some clubs are doing that. I mean, I take it to United, and I'd say when you look at what we did with David De Gea won the Golden Glove. He's a very good goalkeeper, very experienced. We let him walk out the door for nothing and spent £50 million on Onana. I mean, that's just stupidity. That transaction doesn't make any sense. Whether you think Onana's better than De Gea or you think De Gea's better than Onana, you don't do that deal. As a director of football and as a CEO, we're not doing that. We're not letting a good goalkeeper go out the door to replace him with a goalkeeper that might be a little bit better, but spend 50 million quid on it. That's just bad business. And from a Chelsea point of view, yeah, we're not just going to keep spending loads of money on players that other clubs want and giving them massive contracts and wages and then not actually look at what we need, like a striker. It's just spending money badly, isn't it? Anyway, get your comments in below. Interested to see what you think. Smash a like and subscribe. And thanks to everyone who's watched the video yesterday. The Goldbridge Arms is open and we've got more content from there tomorrow, a full podcast video style on the channel. So make sure you subscribe. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care.